Today we are talking about chapter 4.8, the last chapter in chapter, or this last lesson in chapter 4. Thank you, Nazumi, for taking your hat off. Today we're talking about what happens when there are zeros, when we need to write extra zeros in the product. What's a product? What's a product? Ashi?
The answer to the multiplication problem.
The answer to a multiplication problem. We talked about this briefly yesterday. Are there times when we need to add extra zeros in a multiplication problem to the answer? Today we're going to be looking closely at when we need to do that and why we need to do that. Your learning goal today is to be able to multiply decimals when there are zeros in the product. Okay? We've already talked about the problem, so let's go on. When decimals are multiplied, the product may not have enough digits to place the decimal point. For example, what if my answer is 6, but then I moved my decimal point originally 3 spots to the right? How would I move my decimal point? Well, how many times would I need to move my decimal point to the left to undo it? Yeah, lots of you are showing me 3, right? The fingers, I need to move it 3 spots to the left. But how can I move it 3 spots to the left if there's only one digit? I need my decimal point to be here, but my digit is all the way over here. What do I need to do? Siddharth? I'll need to add 2 zeros, right? And this is what we're talking about. Sometimes you don't have enough digits in your product to place the decimal point. In these cases, you need to write additional zeros as placeholders. Those zeros just are there to take up the tenths place and the hundredths place because all I have is 1,000th. Does that make sense? Very good. Let's take a look at this problem. Students are racing garden snails. Okay, so they're putting garden snails all at the same starting line. They're saying, go, 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 and they're seeing which snail will go the fastest. Okay?
Like in Turbo, they race.
Yeah, like in Turbo, exactly. Okay, so it says students are racing typical garden snails and measuring the distance that the snails can travel in 1 minute. Chris's snail travels a distance of 2/10 of a foot. Jamie's snail travels 4/10 times as far as Chris's snail. Okay, that's an interesting sentence to read. Jamie's snail travels 4/10 times as far as Chris's snail. How far does Jamie's snail travel? Okay, what is the question asking here since it's a word problem? We always need to figure out what is the question asking. Harshita, what is the question asking?
How far does Jamie's snail travel?
We want to know how far does Jamie's snail travel? What is the important information we need to solve this problem? Claire?
Chris's snail travels a distance of 0 and 2/10 of a foot.
Okay, Chris's snail travels 2/10 of a foot. Anything else?
And Jamie's snail travels 4/10 times as far as Chris's snail.
So Jamie's travels 4/10 of times of, it's 4/10 of Chris's, right? Which is 0.2 feet. Now, whose snail traveled further? Chris's or Jamie's? And how do you know? So we know that Chris's snail traveled further than Jamie's because Jamie's only traveled 4/10 of the way that Chris's snail did. So Jamie's didn't go as fast or as far. How did you know it was multiplication, Adriana? You said when you multiply by a decimal less than 1, it always ends up smaller. How did you know that this was going to be multiplication? It just says 4/10 times as far, and I wrote 4/10 of 2/10. How did you know that that was going to be multiplication?
Well, I know because it said Chris's snail travels a distance of 0.2 feet.
Well, yeah, in the problem it says 4/10 times as far, but I rewrote it in a different way.
Well, it says times.
Yeah, it says times here, and also, what does the word of mean?
Multiplication.
Yeah, of always equals multiplication. So what equation would I write to find out, to answer this question, how far does Jamie's snail travel? What would I need to multiply since I know we're doing multiplication? Shreya?
0.2 times 0.4.
I would do 0.2 times 0.4. Okay, so let's get ready to do this multiplication. Sure. Okay, so I'm going to multiply 4/10 times 2/10. Let's write it vertically so it's easier for us. Okay, go ahead and write it in your math notebook too. 0.4 times 0.2. Okay, step 1, as we know, is multiply as if they were whole numbers. So what do I need to do in order to change these factors into whole numbers? Siddharth?
You need to multiply them by 10 or put the decimal place one place to the right.
So I'm moving it one place to the right for each factor, and I'm basically multiplying each factor by 10, right, in order to do that. Okay, now I have a new math problem. I have 4 times 2. We all know 4 times 2 is what?
8.
Okay. So is that the answer? Jamie's snail traveled 8 feet? Is that in the zone at all? No, we know that's not possible. So what do I have to do to undo? Remember, up here I moved the factors. I moved the decimal point one spot to the right and then another spot to the right. So how many spots total did I move to the right, Joseph? 2 times. So what do I need to do in order to undo that? I need to move it 2 times to the left. So right now my decimal point is here. If I move it 1 time to the left, I'm good. Do I need to add any zeros if I only move it 1 time to the left? But I'm moving it another time to the left to undo these 2 times. So what do I need to put here in this empty space as a placeholder? I have to put a 0. And just to be super clear, I can also put a 0 before the decimal point. So then I know the answer is Jamie's snail moved 8/100ths of a foot. Now here it says step 2 is determine the position of the decimal point. Since tenths are being multiplied by tenths, the product will show what? 100ths, right? Okay. And then we already placed the decimal point right here. Very good. And it said, originally, were there enough digits in the product to place the decimal point? No. So what we had to do was we had to write zeros as needed to the left of the digit of the whole number product to place the decimal point. Make sense? Very good. Let's try our hand out. Okay, this one's money. Let me zoom in a little bit. Okay, it says multiply 2/10 times 30 cents. Is my answer 2/10 of 30 cents going to be more or less than 30 cents? Would you rather have 30 cents or 2/10 of 30 cents? Oh, even though I made it sound so enticing, you would still rather have 30 cents? You don't want something times 30 cents? Not if it's 2/10 times 30 cents, huh? Okay, fine. Okay, let's multiply as if they are whole numbers. So here's our problem over here. I have 30 cents times 2/10. How do I have to move this decimal point in order to make it a whole number? What do I have to do? Adam? Okay, 1, 2. So I'm moving it 2 places to the right. Okay.
And then for the 2/10, I could move the decimal point 1 to the right.
Okay. So I know in my head, I can think right away in my head, at the end of my problem, what do I have to do to undo it?
Move the decimal places back. Move the decimal places 3 spots to the left.
3 spots to the left. Okay. So now that I've moved the decimal points, what's my new problem with whole numbers? What's my new problem with whole numbers? Zara? 30 times 2. Okay, very good. Hey, what's off the top of your head? What's 30 times 2? 60. Okay. So now let's move the decimal points back 3 spots to the left, as Adam said. So 1, 2, 3. Here's my new decimal point. Do I have an empty space that needs a placeholder? Yeah. Okay. So how much money is 2/10 of 30 cents? How much is it? Liam?
It is 6 cents.
6 cents. Very good. Now, I want to draw your attention to something. Did we need to actually move it 2 spots to the right to turn 30 cents into a whole number? I'm going to rewrite that problem. 30 cents times 0.2. If I just moved the decimal point 1 spot to the left, would I have a whole number?
Yes.
What whole number would I have?
3.
3. Okay, and then here I can move this one over 1 spot to the right as well. And now what's my new problem if I'm only moving it 1 time to the right? What's my new problem? Adriana? 3 times 2, which is? 6. And then to undo this, do I still need to move it 3 times to the left?
No.
I only need to move it 2 times to the left. So 1, 2. Do I still get the same answer?
Yes.
Why is that? Why do I still get the same answer even though I only moved it 2 times to the left over here, but over here I had to move it 3 times to the left. Why do I still get the same answer?